Okay, we should be live now talking about preseason. Yeah, we are in fact live right now and talking about week one. Week one of preseason. And preseason, in fairness, it's been a bit of a surprising one. My voice is gone. Jesus. Hopefully, I can get it. It'll come back a little bit. But preseason has been crazy. I do have to say, like, of all. Good morning to you, and good morning to everyone that's going to be in this chat right here. But yeah, preseason is 100%. Teams are going hard. Again, I try to watch a bit of the Sun and the Storm game. Yeah, that was pointless. But I have a full list of stuff I want to go through. So I have got an hour and a half right here on stream, and I want to go over at least 8 or 9 topics. So I've got an hour and 20 minutes. So I've got 80 minutes to go over potentially 8 topics. How are you guys? How is everybody here? But the first topic we're going to be going over in this stream right here, good morning, is we're going to be talking about Aaliyah Nye for the Aces. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Chicago Sky and whether or not what the Indiana Fever did to the Brazil national team makes it look worse on the Sky. I think a lot of people are saying because the Sky only beat them by 27, it's a bad look on them. I don't think so. And also whether or not it's a let me get my lighting on. Or whether or not it has made any difference, and whether or not again makes a difference to Angel. We're going to be talking a little bit about Paige's debut and comparing Paige to a Sonia Citron, who I believe had the best rookie debut of all of them against the Indiana Fever. And we're going to be talking about Bria Hall, Michaela, Timson, and the effect of Sophie Cunningham on the Fever. So we're going to be talking about a lot of topics right here. And I think that is going to be one of the first things I'm going to crack open a caffeinated beverage right here. I know they're not good for you, but one every second day. 300 ml of caffeinated energy drink is every couple of days is going to kill you. But yeah, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about who I believe has been one of the keys for the Fever. The Fever have looked decent. I'm not going to again judge too much by them playing the Brazilian national team, because let's be real. Regardless, I said it when the Sky played them. I'll say it again when the Fever played them. This team's not good. I understand a lot of people wanted to hype up the Sky for beating a national team that might not be better than Ireland without Damaris Dantas and and I'm struggling thinking of names. Camila Cardoso. But we did learn some things from the Fever, especially in the other game the Fever played. And one of the things we did learn, it's going to be the impact of Sophie Cunningham. And one of the things a lot of people were saying when it came to Sophie Cunningham was that, none of these players are afraid. It's like none of these players are afraid of her. You can still see players going at Sophie Cunningham. Yeah, that's kind of the point. Do people not realize it? If anything, people are like, and people aren't going to want to mess with Sophie Cunningham. No, everyone wants to mess with Sophie Cunningham. But people aren't going to mess with Caitlin Clark. If people go near Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham's immediately stepping in. If you mess with Sophie Cunningham, DeWanna Bonner is going to be stepping in. It just brings an edge to the team. Last year, you've seen it. Stephanie White is a bit of an edge. This team has an edge. And regardless of, Sophie Cunningham as a player is very good. Sophie Cunningham genuinely as a player, I think that she fits perfectly because she swings the ball. She can play the 1. She can play the 2. She can play the 3. She can play the 4. She rebounds pretty well. She's a good, not great, but good defender. She can pass. She shoots 40% on 3. She's exactly what you need in a role player. And these are the type of players that in the WNBA are just supremely underrated, if you get what I mean. Like, they are absolutely underrated, because this league has very much like talked about one-dimensional players. Versatility has not been in any way, like, not that it's been discouraged, but in a league of Katie Lou's getting max contracts for doing one thing, in a league of Tiara McCowan getting max contracts when she can't play just because she's tall, this is a league where they've had one-dimensional players, and it's the reason why Leonie Fiebich last year was seen as being so poor. Leonie Fiebich was, well, not seen as so poor, seen as like an end-of-the-bench player, when in fact she's an all-star. She is 6'4", sniper who can play defense. But because, she's 6'4" and she can't really play in the post, they literally were saying about Leonie Fiebich that, she's not going to survive in the league. And it's like, no, she's the new type of player in the league. And in the new league, Sophie Cunningham is going to really, really thrive as a player. These type of players, I wish, again, DeWanna Bonner was a little bit younger. Because those types of players that are versatile, that can shoot, that can play defense, that can handle the ball a little bit, are going to be so much more beneficial now. So much more beneficial now than they ever were before. And now you've got a Fever team who, let's be real, they were soft. They were soft last year. They were soft. They had a soft coach in Christy Sides. Like, never forget, Skylar Diggins shoved Caitlin Clark into the Storm bench, and after that, they all got into it, and Christy Sides and Noelle Quinn got into it, and Christy Sides apologized. Christy Sides apologized for Skylar Diggins shoving her player into the bench. The Fever embarrassed the Seattle Storm, and the Storm just wanted to go out angry. They wanted to go out angry. So, and with that happening, did Christy Sides stand up for her player? No, Christy Sides apologized for her player. And now you've got Stephanie White, who's not going to do any of that crap. Stephanie White knew the players that he brought in, knew the types of players, and I'm telling you, Sophie Cunningham is going to change a lot with the Fever. And not just Sophie Cunningham. Like, we can be completely honest. So is DeWanna Bonner. For everything that Sophie Cunningham does, even though a lot of people are going to want to mess with Sophie Cunningham. Like, I'm sorry, like, they are. A lot, like, people will want to mess with Sophie Cunningham. Nobody has ever said that players don't want to try to fight Sophie Cunningham. But a lot of them do. A lot of them do try to fight them. And not only that, you have got an ultimate vet who is extremely tough in DeWanna Bonner, who is going to be backing her up. And as well as, like, you've got those type of players on the team. No one's going to want to mess with Natasha Howard. Let's be real. No one's going to want to mess with Natasha Howard. But, yeah, it's a very interesting one. And I'm a big fan of the new additions. I'm a really, really big fan of the new additions. I'm not going to lie. Like, other than Sydney Coulson, like, I understand she tells jokes. I understand that's why you're bringing Sydney Coulson in. But when you look at the other players in this team, for me, there are levels difference between players that are going to really affect the team in a Cunningham, in a Bonner. I think Natasha Howard's going to have good games and bad games, or in a Michaela Timson. But from last week, this is such a big thing. And the Mystics went out to try punk them. Let's be real. The Mystics, last year, if you got physical with the Fever, it got in their head. It got into Fever's head. It's not going to do that. If anything, Fever are going to be the initiators. Like, the Fever are going to be the initiators in an awful lot of kind of like minor altercations. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with Team Crash Out. I'm fine with them turning into the Phoenix Mercury of last year. I'm fine with their entire starting five being on the cusp of a suspension. I'm fine with Team Crash Out. I'm absolutely fine with Team Crash Out. Because I would rather have Team Crash Out than Team Soft. Because nobody messed. Not the people weren't getting into it with the Mercury. Everyone did. but there wasn't going to be anyone trying to punk the Phoenix Mercury last year. And I would not mind to see the Indiana Fever become a little bit of team crash out. Because let's be real, everyone's saying, oh, people aren't watching the Fever because they want to see this old stuff. I mean, I'm sorry, we saw with the Fever, when Caitlin Clark was on the floor, they still had the most fun offense in the WNBA by 100 miles. So I'm not worried one bit about how fun they are to watch. I'm not worried one bit about the viewership. To win, you can't be soft. In any pro sport, if a team sees that you're soft, they're going to go for it. They're going to go for it. Just like the thing, the Sun did in the playoffs. And Sun knew the Fever were soft. They took advantage of it. They went straight away. They went straight away physical. And ended up in an eye poke. But they knew refs weren't going to call it. They knew the Fever were soft. They knew they weren't going to come back. And in fairness, the toughest player on that Fever team last year probably was Caitlin Clark, which shouldn't be the case. Caitlin Clark is a tough player, but I'm sorry, she shouldn't be the toughest player on your team. But yeah. Well, no, sorry, Temi. What am I talking about? Temi. But yeah. That's pretty much it on Sophie Cunningham. But yeah, I was very much. Caitlin Clark's not a winner, she's a stat padder. Back-to-back national championship games, MVP of the World Cup. Brought a team who hadn't made the playoffs in 10 years to the playoffs in year one. What are you talking about? She is a literal World Cup MVP. But there is one player on the Indiana Fever that I'm so high on. Like, I am so high. And in terms of the rookies, like, I'm just looking at some of the stuff Michaela Timson does. And I'm just kind of almost in awe. I'm almost in awe at some of the things Michaela Timson can do in comparison to a lot of the other players on this team. And that includes Natasha Howard. Michaela Timson is I don't even know if she's better than Bree Hall. I don't know if she's better than some other players. I don't know if she was the right pick, if she would have been the right pick for another team at that position. But I'm not joking when I say this. The Indiana Fever probably got the pick who they would have taken at 8 at 19. Because I'm so impressed with how she's played. And I was really impressed with how she played against Washington too. And it's not that she scored. It was an exhibition game. People want to see CC play for why she played. Yeah, 100%. But if you look at what Michaela Timson did, it's not what exactly she did on the stat sheet. Like, you can read a box score. You can read a box score, or you can watch the games. And if you're watching the games, it's funny. People saying they beat up on kids yesterday. They went, and when I said the Sky that they sucked against the Sky, everyone's like, you're gonna be saying they're great with the Fever. No, the Brazil national team sucked. But the Sky also beat up on kids a lot less than the Fever beat up on kids. Let's be real there. The Sky beat up on kids a lot less than Fever did. But when it comes to Michaela Timson, like, what the Fever do need is they need length, they need athleticism, they need a motor. And this play, I've always said this play sums up everything about this. And by the way, again, Michaela Timson is not going to strip the ball off a good player doing this. Like, this, she is not going to be getting this in the WNBA. So I got to go frame by frame here, because unfortunately I cannot show this full clip without getting copyrighted. So I'm going to go frame by frame. Frame by frame. So, starting off, this right here. First clip. Switch. Coulson gets creamed by the most moving of moving screens. Immediate switch. Immediate switch. And then the quick guard. In fairness, she was quick. She was quick. Like, again, not a high-level player, but they're still quick players. Tries to burn her. Can't burn her. Michaela Timson also uses her gigantic wingspan to block any sort of pass to a wing or any sort of pass to the corner. Turns the offensive player and then immediately gets the switch back, gets back basket side comfortably, waits for them to take a dribble, sees that the ball is going to be exposed, and uses her long arms to reach around, get the steal, and scores a layup. Like, that is... There are not many players in the WNBA that are out here doing that have that ability. And yes, there are players that do. There are definite players that do. Like, to say that an maybe Ezi Magbuer can't, but to say that like a Stewie, an Aja, a Fee, that none of these players can would be objectively false. It would be false. There are players in the WNBA that can do that. There are no second-round pick rookies that can do that. There are no second-round pick rookies. And that is the thing where it's like, you have to remember, she is a rookie that was taken with a second-round pick. And what exactly that Michaela Timson can do is something that no one on the Fever can do. Nobody on the Fever, like, she is a different look. And ironically, she might end up getting Bree Hall onto the team, because if it turns out that she's there above Bree Turner, they might end up just saying, you know what, we would rather keep 2 of our rookies. We would rather keep 2 of the other rookies and go to 12 players and cut Bree Turner. I don't think they're going to do it, but they can. Like, that is what Michaela Timson has shown, and not just in this one game, not just in the Brazil game, because in fairness, like, look, Brazil suck. Brazil really suck. Like, beating down on Brazil does not mean you're going to have the greatest season. But let's take a look at where is it? At the Washington game. Like, the shot she hit in overtime, she's a good free throw shooter. That is a big thing because of how active she plays. Michaela Timson was 2 of 2 from the free throw line. Came up with 4 points in overtime in that game. But she's a good free throw shooter. She's 7 of 8 from the free throw line so far. And she's going to play active. I don't think you're going to give the ball to Michaela Timson and she's going to do anything. But she's going to run the floor. She's going to roll. She's going to be active. She is going to be extremely, extremely active. And, like, that is going to be a huge thing. That's going to be a huge thing. And, like, this showed that she's on the team. So, in yesterday's game, she did not play when they went with the all-rookies. She only played 9 minutes, which is a good sign. Because when they went in the for the last, like, 15 minutes with Bree Hall, Vaughn Ejim. Actually, Bree Hall played early in the game. But when they went for the last quarter with Jaylen Brown, Ejim, Jillia Lane, and Coulson, like, 4 of these players that aren't going to make the team, she sat on the bench. They saw enough. They saw enough for Michaela Timson. And it genuinely is just a lot of little things. And you have to also take into account what role Michaela Timson is going to be playing. Her role is going to be, she's going to be that end of the bench player. She's going to not, there's going to be games where Michaela Timson does not play, especially to start the year. Can she break into the rotation? Yeah. The first thing you got to do as a second round rookie is make the team. Then you've got to break in a couple of minutes. And then you've got to then you're going to break into the rotation. The more minutes you play, the easier it is to break into the rotation. We saw from Hull. Hull was getting DNPs last year. Like, can you see the game logs on WNBA.com? I must see, does it show game logs? Yeah. So if you look at her game logs last year, she didn't play in a bunch of games. So between the 10th of June, I think at this stage they had played like 14 games. She'd only played in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She only played 8 games. She didn't play in between, did they have a game? They definitely had a game in an 8 between these. She didn't play. She was getting a little bit to start the year. And then suddenly it was, played 6 against the Sparks, played a bit against Storm, didn't play against Chicago Sky when they won their first game, didn't play against the Mystics when they won their first game, and she just wasn't playing. She legitimately was getting DMPs, and she played her way into the rotation. And that's the thing, what you have to do is, like, you have to be there, and if you play with energy, like, Lexi Hull is not the most talented player in the world, but Lexi Hull is going to 100% give you a effort all the time. And if Michaela Timson can do that, with just her length, with her activity, and the fact she looks like she can shoot the mid-range. Her jump shot looks nice. I don't know if it goes in or not. I need to see. I know she doesn't shoot the 3 ball yet. But the jump shot looks nice. But yeah, like she could be an absolutely fantastic player. And she is somebody that I'm really, really excited to see playing for the Fever this year. Really, really excited. Coulson was good yesterday, much better on defense and good passes. It's very easy to look good against the Brazilian national team. The team does not play well offense with her on the floor. So yeah, I'll talk about Coulson next. So an extremely divisive player amongst the Fever fan base has been Sydney Coulson. And they're not going to cut Sydney Coulson. I'm going to be honest. Coulson is there. She's on the roster. Coulson is completely on the roster. And when it comes to Coulson, she has a spot on the team. But what we have seen so far is that Sydney Coulson is... Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. Got rid of the wrong thing. Michaela Timson is 100% on the team. But what we've seen so far from Sydney Coulson is that... Does she bring energy when she's on the floor? Yes. Yes. Does she play defense? Yes. Does she tell jokes? Yes. And the biggest reason why she is she's gonna be on the team is because she tells jokes. Like that's the being honest. That's the main reason she's on the team. You could have got a much better backup point guard for her price. She tells jokes. But there is one thing when it comes to Coulson, and this is what Sydney Coulson is good at. In the regular season, their rotation is going to be, their rotation for guards is going to be Caitlin Clark playing 32 to 35 minutes a game. And then their backup point guard is not going to be Sydney Coulson. Maybe it will be for 5 minutes a game. But their backup point guard is probably going to be her. She's going to be running the one when Caitlin Clark's not on the floor. There's only 200 minutes to go around. But there are going to be games where, let's just say hypothetically, you're playing against the Washington or the LA Sparks. You're playing against the Sparks and you are getting absolutely cooked by Odyssey Sims or by Kelsey Plum. And you just need somebody to go in and get a stop. And Sydney Coulson will come in for 3 possessions, might get a steal, run the floor, and play with maniac effort for 3 possessions, and then get subbed off and not play again. That is what her role is. And there is nobody better at doing that than Sydney Coulson. We saw last year with Wheeler. Wheeler wanted to play. Sydney Coulson, with her being on the Aces, she's happy staying in the league. She's 100% happy staying in the league. She's not been a max contract player. She's somebody who nobody expected to do what she's done with her career. She's somebody that's what she's there for. For lack of a better word, she is there for vibes. She is not going to be there. She is not. If Sydney Coulson is in the rotation, something's wrong. Something's wrong. This is what the rotation should be for the Fever in the regular season. And I understand there's 44 games, but Coulson should be on the end of the bench. It should be. Your starting 5 is your starting 5. Obviously, this is the starting 5. Then, no matter what, Sophie Cunningham first sub off the bench. No matter what. Then, second sub off the bench. Ironically, I think I would rather have Lexi Hall in for Caitlin Clark, and if Sophie Cunningham run the 1, you just go all out defense. But it should be with them one of Michaela Timson, Dantas, or Bree Turner. That's going to be a really interesting thing with those type of players, because when it comes to the Fever, do they keep all 3 of them? Because the 3 of them, well, 2 of them, Bree Turner and Michaela Timson, will play quite similar roles. And if they're willing to risk it, what I would do if I'm the Fever is Coulson has a definite role. Bree Turner is a rim protector. Dantas is a stretch big and on a guaranteed contract. I would cut Bree Turner and keep Bree Hall. I would do that, but the Fever aren't going to do that. Look, Bree Turner is there for a reason as well. Bree Turner is on the team for a reason. She does one thing, And that's the problem when you're an end of the bench player at the top level. You're there to do one thing. And that's exactly what Sydney Coulson's there to do. Can Sydney Coulson run an offense? No. No. This team looks garbage when Sydney Coulson is on the floor on offense. Sydney Coulson cannot and will not play long periods of time. Yes, she looked really good in a WNBA Finals game a couple of years ago, but that was, as much as anything, the Liberty choking. That was a game where she didn't have to run an offense. The Liberty were just so scared because they knew that the Aces had lost half their damn team, and they knew, oh crap, there's pressure that we have to. There's like pressure on us now, so that's the big thing. And Coulson, in those type of games, in those pressure games, it's not about the X's and O's of basketball. A lot of time it's just about getting buckets and putting the ball in the basket, and she gave energy. She gave energy. But she does one thing. And that is why she's going to make the team. Coulson has looked bad in preseason. Everyone's saying, oh, she looked good yesterday. It is the Brazilian national team. They might as well have played Ireland. They won by 64 points. The Indiana Fever could have won by 100. The Chicago Sky could have won by 70. Like, this is the Brazilian national team without their two best players. This is a two-player team without those two players. But when it comes to Coulson, a lot of people, again, and I think people are right to question Sydney Coulson. Question her spot on the team. Question whether or not Sydney Coulson should be on the team. I think it's actually a fair thing to question Sydney Coulson. I think that's completely fair. Because she doesn't do very much. And especially in the Washington Mystics game, she looked unplayably bad. Like, she was legitimately the worst player on the floor for either team. And she was they won a game and she was minus 15. And again, Aaliyah still just getting her finishing back. Like, look, again, if Aaliyah didn't have a track record of having shooting the highest percentage, of having the highest field goal percentage in the WNBA, I would be extremely worried about Aaliyah. Not worried about Aaliyah yet. Yet. That's a yet with the finishing. But Coulson being minus 15, the team just couldn't function with her on the floor. And yes, the team runs 100 times better with Caitlin Clark on the floor, obviously. But the team obviously runs a lot better with Sophie Cunningham than it does with Sydney Coulson. So if Sydney Coulson is getting in backup point guard minutes in the first quarter of games, or she's playing 8-9 minutes a game running the point, then yeah, she should be gone. She should absolutely be gone. And do I think the Fever should have gotten Sydney Coulson at the start of the year? No. No. I don't like the Fever bringing in Sydney Coulson. At all. I don't like this. I don't like it one bit. I think they had enough experience. I think they got rid of a legitimate backup point guard that could have been incredible. But Sydney Coulson is going to do something. And Sydney Coulson is going to be on the roster. Because you do not, when it comes to the playoffs, you don't need 12 players. Your 12th player, a lot of the time, is a vibes person. And I know that from coaching. You keep players on the team that make practices better, that make the road trips better, that make being around the team better, that make the vibes better, that will make it in the tough situation, the playoffs, that'll make it better. And the fact she does one specific thing, you keep those players on the team. Because a young player, or not even a young player, ideally, you would have a young player there, but it makes sense why you'd have a Coulson. And also, they're not getting rid of her. And the reason why I'm most annoyed about Sydney Coulson getting rid of Sydney Coulson is because of getting Sydney Coulson because of who they got rid of. Like, we are watching in real time the Fever having got rid of who I believe is the prototypical modern point guard in the WNBA in Grace Berger. Like, forget Bree Hall, all these conversations about Bree Hall and stuff. Like, I just don't get it. I've made plenty of videos about this. I just do not get this at all. I don't. I still don't get it. And not only that, I need to find my Cheryl Reeve clip. This is the best coach in the WNBA talking about Grace Berger. This is the best coach in the WNBA talking about Grace Berger.
Easy for Grace, like she has a great understanding. The game is easy for Grace, like
the game is easy for her.
She has a great understanding. Her ability to get to her spots, I think, is uncanny. I watched her in college, and you think,
she just showed that at the end of practice.
Is she going to be able to, do that in our league, that sort of thing? And the answer is yes. She can get to her spot. She's got good size to her, good understanding. She's actually expanded her game as well. She knew that coming into the league. You can't just be a nitty.
She led the WNBA in three-point percentage as a rookie, and also she was unbelievable in Turkey.
Unless you're Simone Augustus, that's hard to do these days. And so expanding your game to three and just carving out more value in that space. I think she's also carved out value being able to play more than one position.
Oh my God. It's like Cheryl Reeve watched the Mick Talks Hoops video. Why I was so hyped about Grace Berger, how she was playing in Turkey. I'm like, she's perfect. She can play the 1 with Caitlin at the 2. She can be the backup. She can play at the 2 with Caitlin. Might need to let go of Grace stuff. I'm never letting go of this stuff. I'm never letting go of getting rid of her. The only thing is that she's from Indiana, so she might come back.
She's not just...
Or say I went to college there.
Off-ball type of guard. I see her overseas, leading an offense, and so I think these 2 years has been well spent, and she's a good player.
Do you see her approaching this as like, hey, I have this fresh opportunity here at this point in my career, where I have some experience, kind of know how things work, but like trying to really grasp that in a fresh environment?
Yeah, I don't know. You have to ask her that. I think she's trying to make her team. I think that's what her focus is. Anything else besides that, I'm not sure. She's pretty cut and dry.
That was a nice play she had at the end of practice.
Huge, yeah, huge. Good for her.
Talk about getting to her spot, right?
Yeah, tough shot. No, it was good. She had to make something of that. Like if there was a person, I think if you asked each of the team, like who would you want? If he didn't get a shot, right? I mean, their confidence in Grace is pretty high.
Right.
This team, I get it, Caitlin McBride hasn't come back. This team is Bridget Carlton. 22 points in the Commissioner's Cup final. This team is Courtney Williams. One of the best mid-range shot creators. And she just said, if it's not for Fee getting a shot, they'd be happy if Grace took it. Christy Sides, you will not be forgiven. You will not be forgiven for this, Christy Sides. You will not be forgiven for this, Christy Sides, and I don't care if she had done better last season. There's no way they're cutting her. There's no way they're cutting her. Whatever about this is, I'm not forgiving you, Christy Sides. Of course, the Fever got rid of her for vibes, my comment. Let it go. I'm not letting it go. I'm not letting it go. How do you have the perfect long-term backup point guard who is a year older? The perfect long-term backup point guard. And you just go, we're good, we good. That is your response to having the perfect backup point guard is, we good. We good. But Grace is a better version of Lucy Olsen. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. This is the one thing. This is the one thing where it's like, great. You wanted Grace in Chicago. I mean, Grace would be... If Grace had gone to Chicago Sky, there is no way that you draft HVL. Because Grace is your backup point guard. Like, this will not be forgotten. How many Grace Berger videos? Like... I'm sorry. Fire Christy Sides. Oh, wait. She's already fired. Rehire her and fire her again. Rehire her as an assistant and go fire her again. Like... How she did not play Grace last year at all. And by the way, she was good when she played. That's the worst part about it. Is that Grace Berger was good when she played last year. She was good. She had that one game where she missed like 3 out of 4 free throws and never played again. She was good. And you've now got the best coach in the WNBA talking about how easy the game comes to her. About how, the team will be happy with her taking a shot. Like, and you got rid of her for freaking for a comedian You got rid of her for a comedian. And I understand if you're looking at the Lynx roster and people are like, oh, they have to cut some players. Carly Samuelson is in. Elisa Peely, probably they're going to cut her. Kristen Williams, cut. Fee, obviously in. Badian, I've no idea. McBride, in. Taylor, out. Shepard, in. Uhas, in. Leslie, out. Williams, in. Berger, in. Smith, in. Kosu, out. I don't think she's come over for training camp yet. Bridget Carlton, in. Petty, out. Delia is out. Richardson, out. Heidemann, in. Miller, in. Out. Like, it's a pretty simple one. It is a pretty simple one when it comes to the Lynx. I saw a post and it was like talking about the Lynx cutting Dorka Uhas. That was the funniest thing I've ever seen. A 6'5", 3-point shooting big. Cut Peely. Elisa Peely's 5'10". She is a 5'10". Like she's now listed a 5'11". She's a 5'11" player who can't play big and can't play as a wing. She can shoot the ball when she's open. Elisa Peely is not going to make this Lynx team and does not bring anything to the Lynx team. At all. Does not bring anything to the Lynx team. She shoots the lights out. Does not bring anything to the Lynx team. And 5'11" might be a push for how tall she is. Like, she's a 5'11" player with the speed of a center. Like, she's not going to make the team. And you're looking at this team. I'm standing by this. Grace Berger, by the end of the season, is going to be playing over Tisha Heidemann. She's going to be playing over Heidemann. Like, Heidemann is an interesting player, but, like, by the end of the season, she's going to be playing over Heidemann. And when the Minnesota Lynx lift the trophy, Grace Berger is going to be a key rotational piece to that team. Yeah, I can't believe we let her go. I cannot believe we just let Grace Berger go for nothing. But yeah, that is a pity. That is a pity. That is a very much pity. But also, did you guys see this? Did you guys see this on Twitter? And I don't know if it's still there because Twitter is kind of bugging at the minute. Twitter's kind of bugging. So if you guys didn't see, so good old Connor McCaffrey. Good old Connor McCaffrey. Connor McCaffrey. I mean this when I say this. I actually fully agree with what he's saying. But stay off the tweet. Stay off the tweet. Stay off the tweet. Because Twitter is just bugging again. So I'm not sure. Okay, it's back. I don't want to see. Does he still have the tweet up? Or the unretweeted? No, he still has it up. He still has it up. He's after retweeting. And by the way, this is because Nike, every other brand was talking about Caitlin going back to Iowa, but Nike ignored it. Nike have ignored nearly everything Caitlin Clark has done over the last couple of years. And Connor McCaffrey retweets at Nike, y'all don't got internet or what? Their stock is continuing to tank, obviously. Obviously, like Nike's Nike, and I don't think doing anything with Caitlin Clark is going to really help anything. Like, I don't think it's not going to help anything. I don't think it's going to save Nike or anything. She's not Jordan. They just dropped A'ja shoes. They can't be doing all that without starting a war. And that's the problem, is that, like, they just dropped A'ja Wilson shoes, which means they're not allowed to say anything about any other player. And the one reason I have no problem with this, and a lot of people are saying, oh, it's A'ja's moment. The one reason I have no problem with this is, do you remember when it should have been Caitlin Clark's moment last year? Do you remember what A'ja Wilson did when it should have been Caitlin Clark's moment? Do you remember what A'ja did? Not people around A'ja. Not, the A'ja Wilson's friend, which was not that much of an equivalent of Connor McCaffrey, because Connor McCaffrey does not speak for Caitlin. Caitlin's not saying anything. Her boyfriend, does not speak for her, no matter what people want to say. Do we remember? Do we remember what happened? When Caitlin, last year, when it was meant to have been Caitlin Clark's moment. And they did what they did when it was meant to be Caitlin Clark's moment. Angel Wilson did. Angel Wilson literally made sure that they took away from Caitlin Clark's moment. Herself. Not her fans, not Bam, herself. Bam's been quiet. Bam knows. Conor McCaffrey reposted. Adidas would have had 7 different ad campaigns and a short film out already. Guaranteed are too scared to promote one women's basketball player. Time's such an embarrassment. Do you want to know why? Do we not remember what happened when they gave Breanna her shoes? Do we not remember the backlash? They treat promotion like it's social media. They treat it like it's social media. And they've ignored it. We saw what Gatorade did. We saw Gatorade for Caitlin Clark. Gatorade did an unbelievable job promoting her. It's Nike have been silent. Nike have been silent. Every single brand. Imagine having a Caitlin Clark. Imagine having a Caitlin Clark. Having a Caitlin Clark and deciding we're good. We're good. Imagine having a CC as a brand and saying we have the most marketable athlete right now in America, but we don't want to market her. We have the easiest money we can make, the easiest promotion, but we good. We good. And imagine being Adidas right now, lowballing Caitlin Clark a year ago. Because Adidas lowballed her. They lowballed her. I mean this. They lowballed her. If you look at her deals last year, yes, the Under Armour deal was the best deal. Most per year and short term. Because, and by the way, with the Under Armour deal only being 4 years, she would have already had the leverage to renegotiate that deal for a gigantic deal. And I will say, I can't fault Caitlin Clark's agent for anything else other than this deal. I can't fault her for the deal because money-wise it was as much she was getting per year. But the big difference is that, Nike have this weird thing that when anything's happening with Angel Wilson, they can't mention Caitlin Clark. Just like, do you remember in the commercial? In the commercial when they had the person calling out all the names and they had to use an AI voice? Do you remember the AI voice, the Rookie of the Year Caitlin Clark AI voice? It didn't even get the actual person to do it. It just showed a picture of her, a still image of a picture of Caitlin Clark's thing. And it was like, Rookie of the Year Caitlin Clark. And they had to add in post-production because everyone went so mad at the commercial when they hyped up every other player other than Caitlin Clark. I don't know what Nike are doing. And the fact that Conor McCaffrey has called it out means very clearly. And by the way, I don't think Caitlin Clark is that pissed with the Nike deal. I don't think she's that pissed with it. She gets to wear her Kobe's. She gets to do all this stuff. But I have a feeling that the people around Caitlin Clark are probably pissed about that deal. But again, I think Caitlin Clark's completely fine with that stuff. I don't think she lets it bother her. I don't think she cares too much about this money. I think it's a little bit like when it comes, like with some of these stuff, I don't think that she cares. I think she plays ball. I think she gets her Nike shoes and the money. I wouldn't be surprised when it comes to like the money for Caitlin Clark if she just has that all put away. She probably has a good financial person, or if her parents have their head screwed on, the money is just being put away, saved, and put into some very safe investments. That's my prediction for Caitlin Clark. But the Nike shareholders should be making a bigger deal about this. Exactly. I think, as you can see, like the fans of Caitlin are probably more pissed than Caitlin is about it. You're like, oh, Caitlin's happy, so you should be happy. Clearly, even her boyfriend's not happy. So clearly people around her are, I'm not going to say mad. Someone said she's definitely not mad, but she's annoyed. Yeah, that's probably right. You're probably right seeing all the promotion. And by the way, I don't think Caitlin Clark sees any of this promotion from Gatorade. I don't think she does. Because I think, again, Caitlin Clark has got a good enough group of people around her that they're not letting Caitlin Clark buy her own hype. They're not letting her buy her own hype. But the people around her are seeing the hype. Conor McCaffrey's on social media, whereas Caitlin Clark's not. The people around her are seeing the hype. And they can be pissed off about it as well. Because imagine if you're pissed off as a fan seeing all this type of stuff going on. Imagine how pissed off you'd be as a friend seeing all this stuff going on. And obviously, look, Caitlin Clark's making a ton of money. Her agent's done an unbelievable job, and all those corporate gigs she's getting, she is making millions just to show up and tell the same 3 stories over and over again. So the fact that, like, she's doing that, you gotta give props to her agent for that. But the Nike deal, and the funny thing is that if she had a shoe, if she had her own merch, because she gets a cut of all of that, it would be one thing. It would be one thing. They already have a Paige Beckers line of clothes. They have a Paige Beckers line of clothes already. They literally have a Paige Beckers line of clothes and nothing for Caitlin Clark. Nothing for Caitlin Clark's big games. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. And again, you look at what Reebok is doing with Angel Reese. You look at what Reebok's doing with Angel Reese. Like, they're doing an incredible job with Angel Reese. And you're looking at what Adidas is doing with Aaliyah Boston. You're looking at all of these things. And it's genuinely, it's shocking. And whatever about the signature shoe, I don't even mind that. Paige has her own line. You bought some Caitlin Clark Nike gear on Nike. Oh no, there is Caitlin Clark stuff, but she has that one t-shirt. And the Rookie of the Year one where they just put text on a t-shirt. But like, Paige has her literal own line of clothes. Has her own PE already in college. And with Caitlin Clark, you get nothing. And like, you don't even get like, a mention for a big return to Iowa. You don't even get a mention. Where everyone else is hyping it up. Every other brand she works with, you don't even get a mention. Paige gets her own draft party. She gets called the one. They called Paige the one. Caitlin Clark was, Caitlin Clark was nothing. And they also someone leaked how much Caitlin Clark was getting paid. We don't know anyone else's shoe deal. Someone leaked what Caitlin Clark's deal was getting paid, what she was getting paid, and Asia Wilson was there making sure to ruin the moment for Caitlin Clark when she signed that deal. So then Nike have been scared ever since, because I would be shocked if it was Caitlin Clark's agent, because she's an agent to a bunch of players in the WNBA and no one's heard anything else. So it's probably somebody inside Nike that just didn't like Caitlin Clark that leaked it. It's just been a shambles. Nike and Caitlin Clark's been a shambles, and the fact that Conor McCaffrey's talking about it means obviously people around her are feeling the same thing as well. And like, look, if you look at Angel Reese, even in Ireland, by the way, you cannot buy a Caitlin Clark jersey in Ireland, but you can buy the Angel Reese. The annoying thing is that they only have these in Ireland. These, I don't hate these. I would have bought the Shaqnosis. I don't care. If it didn't have the like glossy tongue, I would have bought a pair of them. The problem is, I don't care. If these were for sale in Ireland, I would have bought the Shaqnosis. I really like the Shaqnosis shoes. And I also like the kind of the material of these. I would have bought the Angel Reese Shaqnosis. I don't care. I like them as shoes. But they didn't sell at all. They didn't come out in Ireland. The more ugly ones came out. I don't even care. Nice shoes are nice shoes. Separate the art from the artist. If the A1s get reviewed well, I'm buying a pair of A1s. I need to wear low tops after I snap my Achilles. I would have bought the Shaqnosis. I don't care. I like them. You guys can have your own opinions of stuff. We can all have our own opinions when it comes to merch. We can all have our own opinions when it comes to gear. That is ugly. Yeah, but the Shaqnosis are ugly in an intentional way. They're ugly in an intentional way. Like, I'm trying to see, do I have anything worse? I have way worse shoes than Shaqnosis under my desk, which isn't even my proper shoes. I own a pair of these. I also own a pair of these. I can't believe these are not in my like cabinet shoes for my fancy ones. I hate it. I used to be a sneakerhead. I used to wear so many shoes. I have a big shoe collection, but 95% of the time I wear my Kermit the Frogs. It's not easy being green. I wear my Kermit the Frogs. Not my Stan Smiths, my Kermit the Frogs. I wear my Kermit the Frogs most of the time. You bought an Angel Reese tracksuit inside. Yeah, the gear's good. Like, and why did I say separate the art from the artist? I like Angel Reese the player. People shit on Paige if she has a good or a bad game. People shit on Caitlin if she has a good or a bad game. People shit on Angel Reese if she's a good or a bad game. That's what comes with the territory. Do we not remember the stuff that gets said? Paige Beckers is meant to be somewhere in between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. So she's got to be treated like a Caitlin Clark or an Angel Reese. No coddling. There's no coddling because nobody coddled Caitlin Clark and nobody coddled Angel Reese last year. Nobody coddled either of them. And look, you can say what you want. I don't believe there's a good faith comparison between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. But Angel Reese was one of the top 25 players last year. Deserved All-Star was a weird one because she was better than Bree Jones, who was an All-Star. So deserved it over Bree Jones, but Ezzy Magbagor was also better than Angel Reese. So it is a different one. But I'm not going to say she didn't deserve to be an All-Star. She was on the fringe. She was on the cusp. She doesn't need to be Caitlin Clark. I actually agree with that. I fully agree with that. But, like, she is still one of the top 20 rookies of all time. She's like Rodman, a rebounding monster. She is a mixture between Dennis Rodman and Baby Shaq, and nobody is doubting Paige off the ball. I'm doubting Paige off the ball. I'm doubting Paige off the ball. I'm doubting Paige. I don't care what anyone says. I'm doubting Paige. I'm going to talk about that here. I'm going to talk about the doubts I have with Paige Beckers. And by the way, those doubts are not that Paige is going to be really good. What my doubts are that Paige is just going to be pretty good. That's my prediction. That's my prediction. Like, one preseason game you can't tell everything from one preseason game. But my problem with Paige Beckers is that she's in a situation where she's not going to succeed unless she makes it. She makes herself succeed. Like, Caitlin Clark would not have succeeded with Christy Sides with Paige's mentality. And I mean that. Christy Sides wanted Caitlin Clark to slow the game down. Christy Sides wanted Caitlin to slow the game down, to pass the ball to Aaliyah Boston, and play through the paint. That is what Christy Sides wanted to do. Christy Sides wanted Caitlin Clark to slow things down and play through the paint and do all of this stuff. However, do you guys know what Christy Sides did? Or what Caitlin Clark did? Screw that, I'm doing my own thing. Screw that, I'm doing my own thing. And Paige Beckers has that ability. Like, nobody has ever questioned the ability of Paige Beckers. And unpopular opinion, how many guards have the ability of Paige Beckers in the WNBA? Paige has more ability than Enrique Agumbawale. And I mean that. I genuinely mean that. How many guards have more ability than her? Caitlin, yes. We saw every shot Caitlin shot yesterday was stupid. Like, she has got more ability. She's stronger. She's faster. She's plays with a higher motor. And on the defensive end, I'm going to stand by this. There's not going to be any difference from that to WNBA level. Like, there's not going to be. The problem is they're playing with a coach and on a team that just does not work out. And instead of Caitlin Clark forcing the coach to play her style by just taking over games, controlling everything, being the one, Paige is going to play the coach's style. Paige is a shooter, though I ain't doubting that. No, Paige is 100% a shooter. Don't see Paige inspiring her team like she needs to. I think Paige can, like she did in that game against Oklahoma for UConn. The problem is, Paige Beckers has come from Gino Auriemma. She's come from Gino, where I have to say, Gino Auriemma is, as you can love him or hate him, but Gino Auriemma wins. He knows women's ball. He's had so much success, and his systems are good. His systems are good. And again, I do understand the problem with Gino Auriemma's system. Sometimes it doesn't allow players to show off. Thank you so much for the $2, Daniel. Nobody's dumping Paige off the ball 100%. Nobody's guarding Paige off the ball. No one's even denying her. And that's the problem where it came with UConn, was that they've so many threats, and she was the number one threat, but you couldn't really double her. You couldn't do anything because there's so many good players around her. And that's the thing when it comes to WNBA. But the players are better. The schemes are better. The players are stronger. The players are faster. And those back cuts that Paige Beckers is getting every time at UConn, when you have a Sarah Strong and AZ Fudd bought into this system and they're looking for that, she can get her scores off that. And when Paige just needs 1 to 2 back cuts, getting some easy buckets. And there was a couple of times she made those cuts and players just didn't hit her. She is on a team with Tiara McCowan, Nalissa Smith, Arike Agumbawale, and Dejanay Carrington. None of them can pass the ball. There's not one person that can pass the ball to her. And the problem is now, is that she's coming in at the 1, playing in a system where she passes the ball to the wing and she never gets it back. And then when she plays off the ball, they don't have good enough passers to see her on the cuts, to see her on her curls. Like, she got 2 shots because the Las Vegas Aces just did not guard her and she hit both of them. Paige is going to be a knockdown shooter. And I think Paige, there's a likelihood is that she might end up being a more Kayla McBride than anything else. And that's not a knock on Paige Beckers. Anyone saying Paige Beckers is going to bust is crazy. Is absolutely crazy. But Paige is going to be just a player under Chris Sides. She's playing under Chris Sides right now. She is playing under a coach whose offense is vibes. Whose defense, who literally said, well, we didn't prep for the Aces zone, so we didn't know what to do with that. You have a team of professional basketball players. You're a professional basketball coach, and you couldn't call a timeout and just go, look, we're going to run a simple offense. We're going to run a really simple offense, and we're going to just put you guys in this position. Like, do you guys not understand? Like, North Carolina's zone offense is literally bigs play high-low. Bigs have to be within 1 power dribble from the basket, and guards relocate on the wings. 3 guards relocate. That is the North Carolina zone offense. That's all you need to do. He literally said we didn't know what to do against the zone. A professional basketball coach said he didn't know how to draw up his own offense in a game. Like, this is Christy Sides all over again. This is Chris Sides. And the problem is, Paige is not going to average more than 15. Hell no. Hell no. And this is not a knock on Paige. I am not doubting Paige Beckers' ability. I am not doubting that Paige Beckers is going to be a star at some stage in her WNBA career. She is just in a really, really bad situation. She is basically in the situation that Caitlin Clark walked into in Indiana. And Caitlin Clark walked into a bad situation in Indiana. Caitlin Clark made it a good situation. She made it a good situation because she basically just said, no, Christy, I'm doing my own thing. Christy Sides, paint touches, slow it down, long twos. Nope, I'm not doing that. And she was good enough. She was good enough that the team did it. And the team worked. She's what Aaliyah walked into. No, Aaliyah Boston walked into a team that gave her every single paint touch possible. Aaliyah Boston walks into a team whose coach built a system around her. Caitlin Clark forced the coach to change her system. Caitlin Clark came into a system that was built around Aaliyah Boston, who's not as good as Caitlin Clark. Whereas now you've got a coach whose system is, as much as anything, going to be built around Arike Agumbawale, who is not very good. And Paige is going to blend. Paige is going to blend into just a player. And I stand by this. If you want a player to dribble the ball up the floor, to just shoot open shots, to not do anything crazy, there's a player that does that better than her. And I have a weird feeling in the rookie year, there's going to be a lot of arguments. I think there's going to be a lot of arguments. And by the way, I think Paige has the upside. Yeah, Caitlin Clark ran the coaching team out of town. She was so good. But I think there's going to be a lot of debates between people. The debates have been between Paige and Caitlin. I think the debates are going to be between Paige and Caitlin's cousin very soon. I think this is what the debates are going to be. Because if Paige Beckers is playing as a tertiary option, she's also a tertiary option. And she has less flaws. She has no flaws. Neither does Paige. Do you want to know what the difference is? Better defender. Longer. Sony Citron's longer. And Sony Citron is not better than Paige Beckers. She is not better than Paige. But she is a better fourth option than Paige Beckers. And I am watching Dejanay Carrington shoot one-leg fadeaway mid-range shots. One-leg fadeaway mid-range shots. Jacite for rookie of the year. Jacite's not playing this year. Jacite might be rookie of the year next year. She's not playing this year. Layla Khan might be. All right, none of the Europeans are going to be rookie of the years because they're leaving for a month of the season. But Paige is better than her. If the LA Sparks got the number 1 pick and Paige was number 1, I would have no doubt about it. Paige would be rookie of the year. Paige would be rookie of the year. And Paige plays multiple positions, and every single one of those multiple positions is going to have her standing there and watching Arike Ogunbowale. Every one of those positions is going to have her standing there watching Arike. Whereas if you look at this Mystics team, their biggest quote-unquote ball hog is going to be Brittany Sykes, who's not even really a ball hog, not a true point guard. Shug Sutton just didn't even look at the basket. She just started passing. She actually looked okay facilitating-wise. I like Jade Melbourne off the bench. And the difference is that, in fairness to Sydney Johnson, I thought their offense looked pretty decent. I thought their offense looked a little bit decent. I liked Mike Tebow, or Eric Tebow as a coach last year for them. Obviously, didn't want to tank, so fair enough. But Kurt Miller, what is Kurt Miller's obsession with this guy? He's had him as an assistant in a bunch of places. And this is your Lynn Dunn hire. This is your Lynn Dunn hire. Lynn Dunn liked Christy Sides as an assistant coach. A guy who has never been an assistant coach or a head coach ever in his life, and brings him in as a head coach. And it's clear that he doesn't have the first clue about the sport of basketball. It's clear he's probably a great assistant coach and probably a great motivational speaker. And we're looking at a team whose offense is pin downs. Whose offense is ISOs and pin downs. And give the ball to Tierra McCowan way too much. Way, way too much. A good coach and a good GM would have put Tierra McCowan in for the expansion draft and hoped that she'd be off the roster. Like, it's a bad situation for Paige to be in. And again, I'm not knocking Paige Beckers. Everybody's calling me the biggest Paige Beckers hater. And no. I know, and I stand by this. I stand by this when it comes to Paige Beckers. If having high expectations, because I think she could be a all-W player, is hating on Paige Beckers, then I'm Paige Beckers' biggest hater. Or maybe expecting Paige Beckers to be better and knowing she has the ability to be better and not being happy with Paige Beckers blending into the background and continuing to pass the ball to Arike when she can't shoot, can't score, and continuing to pass the ball to Dijonay for one-leg fadeaways instead of calling her own number. If I have a problem with that level of passiveness and just saying, no, we're going like ISO ball, we're playing bad basketball. I don't care that we didn't do that. I don't care that we're doing that. Like, I'm not doing what the coaches tell me to do. I'm going and getting mine. If everyone else is getting theirs, I'm getting mine. Which is what I would hope she does. Again, I would rather Paige be in a better system. Like, there are a lot of systems where Paige would be exceptional. But, no. If that's hating on Paige. If hating on Paige is having high expectations of her and not being happy when she just stands there and watches, then I'm a hater. I'll say it. I'm a hater if that's what hating on Paige is. Straight up. If that's hating on Paige, I'm a hater. I stand by that. Also, guys, did you guys see this? So the WNBA media is a joke, lads. It is a joke. It is absolute joke. That's all I'm going to say. It is a joke. The WNBA media is a joke. And again, when it comes to stuff like this, I don't like, Sophie does have a dog in her, to be honest. I don't like calling people out by name. I don't think that does any benefits. I don't think there's any benefit to that. Because at the end of the day, like, it's just bad because, again, I think this person's a bad faith actor and doesn't know the first thing about basketball, but I think it's good to paint a general picture just showing what the freaking media is doing rather than calling out individuals, because I think calling out individuals, because it goes too far. It goes too far. Just like the NBC reporter, when she said mad stuff, you look at the responses, it goes way too far, and people taking it too far paints everyone in a bad light. So, but we got to talk about this. Coming out of nowhere saying, After playing the Chicago Sky on Friday night, Brazil was up at 5 a.m. the following morning, taking an hour and a half ride to New Orleans and 2 flights to Iowa. I'm not surprised they're not doing as well today as they did against Chicago, and the shooting is very off. Brazil suck. Brazil sucked against the Sky. They sucked against Indiana. And by they suck, I don't mean they suck compared to the average person. They suck compared to WNBA players. Like, I literally... Like, the Sky could have won by 70. The Sky could have won by 70. They could have won by 70. And do you know what day the Chicago or the Brazil team got to Iowa? They got to Iowa on Saturday. Like, literally saying the only reason that Indiana won by so much was because the Chicago Sky, you know, they had to get up at 5 a.m. on Friday. The game was on Sunday. They got there on Saturday. They literally got there. How can I call them media or just people with opinions? They are literally... This is from somebody who used to work for a team. Brazil were just bad. It was like when the Aces played Puerto Rico a year ago and beat them by like 60. It is ridiculous. Indiana went out to put on a show in Iowa. Chicago went up 30 and then said, we're good, we're going to play our bench. Like, Ariel Atkins just chilled. She just chilled. Like, you cannot judge anything by playing the Brazil national team. The Fever could have won by 100. The Sky could have won by 70. And, again, that doesn't mean anything with these teams because the better offensive team's going to blitz them. Like, again, these Brazilian players, compared to, some of these will be good. Some of these might be players. But, like, people literally going out there and trying to write and freaking think pieces about how this Brazil national team were sleep deprived. I'm pretty sure they got to Iowa at like 3 p.m. on Saturday. They got to Iowa, and the Fever got to Iowa the night before. They got to Iowa like 6 hours before the Fever did. They had an entire day. That's like literally me saying, if I have something to do, today's Monday, if I have something to do on Wednesday, you know, I couldn't do it that well because I had to get up at 5 a.m. on Tuesday to get to my destination by 3 p.m. on Tuesday. I had an entire day to prepare, but no, you know, I had to get up early 2 days ago, so that's the problem. Like, are we here seeing this? This is an actual media person, and this is where the problem is. Again, this is a media person who said Caitlin Clark acts like a white teenage boy and uses the privilege that comes along with it. So we got to be honest. Like, again, bad fake media. But at the same time, these are people that literally are out here working with teams. This is one of the people that broke the freaking Storm story last year. Like, it's so annoying. It's so annoying to look at. It is so annoying to look at. And it's just excuse after excuse. It's excuse after excuse. And it's a preseason game. Nobody should take anything from a preseason game. And any Fever fans doing a victory lap because they beat the Fever by twice, they beat Brazil by twice as much as Chicago did. It's the Brazilian national team. They're not a good national team with Cardoso and Dantas. They're terrible without them. Not only that, they didn't have their full team even without those two players. This was an exhibition game. And we are literally out here seeing the media making excuses for why one team would beat another team by more in an exhibition game. Another reason, the players the Fever have at the end of their bench are a lot better than some of the Sky's players. Some of those Sky players sucked. The ones that have already been cut. They've seen enough of them. They're already good. They don't want to see them against the Lynx. They've already been cut against Brazil. Some of them were bad. Some of them were really bad. But it's ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And you're going to be still seeing these people picking up freaking credentials. You're going to be still seeing these people getting opportunities in the media. And by the way, this is not me saying that I'm much better. I'm a guy who talks into a microphone. But I at least try to cover. I at least try to be fair in opinions. I at least try to be fair. Sometimes 100% there's biases. Every single person in the world has biases. And yes, obviously, I'm going to cover Caitlin Clark more than everyone else. More than anything else. Because Unlike Elle Duncan, who uses Caitlin Clark for every single thumbnail and then says Caitlin Clark's fans are taking the energy out of WNBA. I stand by it. Caitlin Clark's fans are bringing the energy into WNBA, and as bad as some of the Reese fans are, they are fanatics. They are bringing energy into WNBA, and if you want to have a problem with that, all of these fan bases are sides of the same coin. They're all equally as toxic as each other, and you know what? You're gonna do what's to make content what's the most relevant. And the fact that people are enjoying listening to basketball content is great. People are enjoying listening to basketball stuff is great. And the funniest thing about this is that this media's refusal to keep in touch with basketball is a reason why, if you're looking at WNBA in terms of the print media, I would be shocked if the most read print media was not something last year by Annie Constable. Or Annie Constable. Something last year by by Alexa Philippou, or something by Sports Illustrated, where they have like dedicated journalists covering the WNBA, and you've got Robin Lundberg doing a little bit, you've got Rosalina Lee doing a little bit, mainly covering the Fever, but still covering other players. Like, and the fact is, again, that some of these legacy media that were there in the past, you can tell they don't care about basketball, and this sums it up. They're trying to make excuses for why the Brazil national team was bad. The Brazil national team were terrible against Chicago as well. It was just the Chicago bench was bad, and Chicago took their foot off the gas, whereas the Fever didn't. The Fever wanted to put on a show in Iowa. Chicago were fine taking their foot off the gas in LSU. That is literally the biggest difference. And who cares? Who cares? This is the Brazilian national team. The Brazilian national team. Oh my God, lads. So, lads, we got one more topic before I have to leave. One more topic and then I have to leave. What topic do you guys want me to talk about? We're all here because of Angel and Caitlin. Yeah. You're only watching WNBA because of Angel Reese. Yeah, perfect. It doesn't matter who's bringing you in. It does not matter who's bringing you in. This is what I don't understand. It doesn't matter why people become a fan. It's that people are fans. And that's the biggest thing. Like, everybody saying, oh, like, you're only a fan because of this person. Who cares if you are? I mean that. Who cares? Who cares if you're only a fan because of X, Y, and Z player? Because at the end of the day, you're a fan. You're a fan, you've stayed on. Like, you're a fan, you've stayed on. Which, I'm sorry, is the most important thing. No matter what people want to say, like, people can say whatever the hell they want. But at the end of the day, you know, fans being fans is what should be the biggest thing. Great interview from Caitlin's dad about officiating. But yeah. I am going to... Give me 2 seconds. I'm just thinking of a video to make. What did Caitlin Clark do? She autographed the Brazil jersey. Already covered that in a video. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Like, I do not understand how, like, it's like the dream team. It's literally like the Olympic dream team. Which I stand by is kind of crazy. It is kind of crazy that the Olympic dream team, or Caitlin Clark's almost treated like the Olympic dream team. But yeah, let's go Let's go. And whose Fever jersey am I buying next? I have a couple of Caitlin ones. I have a Lexi Hull jersey. I might see if I might go to the Gated DH and buy a white one. I have a few red ones. I have a couple of navy ones. So I might go and buy a white one. You can't buy them. So you can't buy them legitimately. But I might go and buy a white one. It'll probably be either I'll see. It'll probably be Cunningham, to be honest. Probably be Sophie. Caitlin Clark gone or the CBA having a knockout. If Caitlin Clark's injured, viewership will drop 80%. It'll drop a lot. It'll drop a lot. But actually, I want to talk about this topic here. This is the last topic I'm going to talk about. So, Caitlin Clark has evidently gotten stronger. Evidently gotten stronger. And it was so obvious yesterday. It was so obvious in the game. Because they tried to play bully ball there. They tried to play bully ball. And they couldn't. They had absolutely no ability to stop Caitlin Clark. Like, she well and truly was, like, physically outmatching players that were much bigger than her. That were much, much bigger than her. And that's not something that you can expect. It's not something that I think anyone expected. Genuinely. I don't think anyone expected her to be this strong. Like, Kate, they were trying to bully her. They were trying to post her up. Nothing. Absolutely, it did nothing. And I mean, look, I made an entire video about this picture, and I have seen it in enough articles that I'm going to cover it now. This is crazy. This is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Like, from a year ago to this. And again, it's doable. It is absolutely doable. But, like, the reason why I didn't post this picture is the photographer that took it was basically saying that they didn't know how that picture became public and was like, it's not public yet. There has been enough articles I've seen talking about this that I will talk about this picture now. Like, you had even got the assistant coach. The assistant coach coming up to her and asking about her arms. Like, straight away. The assistant coach, or her former assistant coach in Indiana, who's the assistant coach of the Mystics, went straight up and started talking about her arms. And if you look again at Caitlin Clark's block, the block that she made, they tried to bully her. They tried to play bully ball. She broke her own record with the logo threes. She's definitely hit a further shot than that before. But like this play right here, and I mean this, people do not understand what they're trying to do and what they tried to do with the Indiana Fever last year. Or what they tried to do with Caitlin Clark. So, if you're looking at this play right here, before that, bang, bang, they tried to stiff arm Caitlin Clark. And she was strong. Like, she was playing bully ball on Coulson as well. Tries to stiff arm Caitlin Clark. Does not move her in the slightest. Does not move her off the stiff arm. Doesn't get her to move. And Caitlin still stands up with the block. And look, it does not matter that this Brazil team wasn't particularly good. Bad players can be strong too. Bad players can be strong. And they spent the whole game trying to play bully ball. Caitlin Clark was using her strength. They tried to genuinely, they tried to bully her. They tried to bully her and it did not work. Because, and a lot of people are talking about the arms. Her legs have gotten so much stronger as well. Like, being strong, having a strong base, if you're getting hit, it's about having a strong base and a strong core. Which means, again, everyone is focusing on the arms. Her arms are a lot bigger, but the lighting is also a lot better. Like, people are all focusing on that. Which is true. Like, it matters. But when it comes to basketball, having a strong base and a strong core means more than having big arms. It is a fact. It's absolutely a fact. But, you also have to take into account that she's genuinely, they couldn't do anything to her. They couldn't do anything. Whether that be because of her, like, because of her base, whether that be because of her arms. She was able to bump in. She was able to push off a little bit. And that's the thing. People don't understand when it comes to the push-offs. A lot of people are like, oh, push-offs are fouls. No. If you extend your arm, it's a foul. If you jump, get into somebody and kind of move your arm a little bit, if you can move them like that, no foul. The foul always comes from the extension. And by the way, it's the same thing, but you got to be able to play the refs. You got to be able to play the refs. Like, being able to bump like that, that's not a foul. That is a foul. And Caitlin Clark last year, a couple of times, was stiff arming. Everyone's stiff arm. Every guard that goes to the basket stiff arms. Every player stiff arms in basketball. Let's be honest. It's up to the referees to call it. But, like, genuinely just out here stiff arming people last year and got away with it a bit. She doesn't have to stiff arm. She's strong. She doesn't have to. She literally took a couple of bumps to the chest, knocked the defender back, and threw a wraparound pass into Lexi Hull in the corner. And on the defensive end, you could see it. They were not trying to rough up Caitlin Clark. They were being as physical as possible. A couple of the times, again, they knocked her on her ass when they hit her from behind. But they were trying to push Caitlin Clark. They were trying to be physical with her, and it didn't work. It didn't work. And again, the Brazilian national team are not very good. But you don't have to be good to be physical with somebody. You don't have to be good to be physical. And they tried to be physical, and it didn't work. It didn't work. Like, they tried to come in and bully Caitlin. It did not work. And again, look, is that going to be the case when she comes up first game of the season against Courtney Vandersloot guarding her? Oh, yeah, Courtney Vandersloot is not... They're more physical than Courtney Vandersloot. With Courtney Vandersloot guarding her possession one, which is going to be scary. Like, again, if I'm Chicago, Kia Nurse, Kia, you're sitting on the bench. You're sitting on the bench. Beck Allen, you're starting. Angel, you're guarding Caitlin. Sloot, you're not going to be able to guard Dewana Bonner, but just try. Ariel Atkins is not going to be on Caitlin Clark. Okay, Ariel Atkins is not going to be on Caitlin Clark. We saw it last year. Their teams are going to put a lot of the time, their best defender on Kelsey Mitchell. Because do you want to know what happens when Ariel Atkins guards Caitlin Clark? They run the pick and roll. And instead of Caitlin Clark looking at her or going to the basket on Atkins, she's going to hit Aaliyah Boston. Kelsey Mitchell is going to cut on Sloot, and Kelsey Mitchell is going to get a layup every single time. She's going to get a layup every single time on Courtney Vandersloot. So the reason why you have to you cannot waste Ariel Atkins if you don't have two good perimeter defenders on Caitlin Clark is because she'll guard her at times. You can't do it for a lot of the game. Is because Ariel Atkins might be able to stop Caitlin Clark from scoring. She can't stop Caitlin Clark from facilitating. And then if Caitlin Clark becomes a facilitator, Kelsey Mitchell scores every single time, and Indiana as a team still score every single time. Whereas at least if you turn Caitlin Clark into a scorer with Sloot, you might be able to stop her facilitating, and it's the same difference if you stop Kelsey Mitchell from scoring. It's the reason why Washington put Julie Van Loo and Carly Samuelson on Caitlin Clark instead of Ariel Atkins. And it was only when Sykes came back when they had two perimeter defenders. Problem is, Sky have one perimeter defender. But yeah, it's a mad situation, and it's going to be so hard for teams to guard Caitlin right now. Like, there are certain things you can look at. Like, I don't care about the score. I don't care that they won by 60. There's just a few little things that I liked from the Indiana Fever that they did in that game. But at the same time, no, you can't. I'm going to be honest. It was a really, really good performance from the Fever. But Caitlin Clark just did a few little things that you're like, okay, yeah. Caitlin Clark can still shoot from the logo. She can still push the tempo. She can still push the floor. She still plays at a pace. And even though Caitlin Clark wasn't moving that fast, because she wasn't trying to overdo it in preseason, you could see that the team plays upbeat because she plays with her head up. As I've always said, Caitlin Clark plays faster than she is. Caitlin Clark is not the fastest player in the WNBA, but Caitlin Clark, when she plays with her head up, plays the fastest because she looks up and just processes the game faster. And I remember somebody literally saying, processing the game isn't a basketball skill. And I'm like, how dumb are you? That's literally what sets Caitlin Clark apart. And now she's got the strength to back it up, which was her one weakness last year. No, it's going to be scary. But yeah, that is the stream, lads. That is the stream. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Let me know what you think. If you guys are watching this a little bit later. And thank you guys for watching. We're going to be doing this every single day. every single day after a Fever game. We're going to be breaking down every single Fever game for the season. We're going to be breaking down, we're going to be streaming every single morning other than Fridays. I might do Saturdays, Sundays, just depends on what I'm doing. But every single morning, or well, morning for you guys, afternoon for me, I will be streaming Mondays through Thursdays. I do big 2K streams on Fridays, so if you like 2K, go watch, go subscribe to the DBG My Team channel. But yeah, that is pretty much it, lads. All of the recordings from this video will be, or from this stream, will be up on the channel at some stage. That is what we were obviously doing on stream. We managed to record 9 videos. They're going to be going up throughout the day. And yeah, I will see you guys. Thank you to all of you guys for being